Let's continue this Human Rights Day conversation with Commissioner at the South African Human Rights Commission, Dr. Henk Boshoff. It's great to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. We've just come from the Deputy President's speech, and ironically, he's giving that speech, or he has given that speech in the Eastern Cape. That's where Newzroom Afrika Sipa Kema was reporting on the issue of hunger in South Africa from the very same province. And I must say, I hope you listened to at least part of the speech, Dr. Boshoff. I must say, for me, and maybe you'll tell me whether you think we pay lip service to what it means to have human rights in South Africa every single year. I feel like I've heard the speech many, many times before. Does it say enough about the everyday reality of people who are digging through bins in the Eastern Cape for their supper and dying as a result?
Well, Michelle, I don't. I think the country is facing serious challenges, especially with regards to socio-economic rights, with regards to access to water, proper sanitation. There are serious challenges with regards to food security. People are hungry. I still think we have a long way to go in this country. We all need to take hands, and as the Human Rights Commission, to ensure that our recommendations are being implemented at local government level, and that is, I think, where the real challenge lies with regards to socio-economic rights in the country. We have now reported all our recommendations to all the legislatures, the national legislature, provincial legislatures, executive authorities, and we are all taking hands now to ensure that we address these socio-economic right challenges in South Africa.
Do you think, Dr. Boshoff, that all of these different, and I'm not discounting the fact that we have a range of interventions in our country, from civil society to government, to Chapter 9 institutions as well, but it does feel, doesn't it, that we're just not making a dent in the kinds of challenges, things like malnutrition, things like hunger, unemployment even, water and sanitation. Year after year, it feels like we're hearing the same speeches, and the unemployment rate, as one example, keeps rising.
You're 100% correct, and it's the poorest of the poor who are suffering. And I really think, and we have also emphasized it, and even the chairperson of the South African Human Rights Commission in his speech today emphasized the fact that we need to prioritize socio-economic rights in South Africa. Mm-hmm. We need to prioritize job creation in South Africa. We need to address the serious challenges of hunger in South Africa. Again, I want to emphasize and reiterate that we all need to take hands as constitutional bodies, as government, as NGOs, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, in addressing, in fighting these challenges in the country. We are not there yet. In fact, although initial progress was made in addressing the disadvantages of the past, I do think that we are now stagnant and very little progress is being made.
Yeah, I listened to the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission's speech. Chris Nissen preceded Paul Mashatile, the Deputy President, at that event in the Eastern Cape. And for me, he perhaps gave the most impassioned speech on this Human Rights Day. It didn't pay lip service. There was no electioneering. He talked about the bucket system and pit toilets as one extreme example of how we could possibly still be in a position where children are dying in pit toilets 31 years into democracy. He talked about housing, sanitation, crime, and a whole range of other issues. So the question is, how do we move on from paying lip service to these challenges? For many of us, we're lucky to be able to talk about these challenges from a distance. They don't impact our daily lives. How do we move forward on getting real outcomes on things that affect people's everyday lives?
Yeah. Well, with regards to socioeconomic rights, and if we only focus on water and sanitation, and for the Human Rights Commission, socioeconomic rights are the rights that really need to be prioritized in the country. And I indicated earlier that we've now taken hands with the national legislatures, and we've met in the Free State province as an example. We met with a number of municipalities this week, where we brought again the findings of the Human Rights Commission to their attention. We had a number of stakeholders there. All the municipalities that we addressed acknowledged the challenges in those municipalities. Fortunately, we had the National Council of Provinces in attendance. We also had councillors of these municipalities, civil society organizations, stakeholders, etc. There was an acknowledgement by all these municipalities that they are not doing enough. And we will, from our side, Michelle, we will hold them accountable. We will meet with these municipalities on a regular basis, also with the ministers, also with all the legislatures, to ensure that something is being done to ensure that these challenges are addressed. I can give you the assurance that we as the Commission are just as concerned about the fact that very little is being done at local government level. And although there's interventions both by national government and provincial government at specific municipalities, I think we have approximately 66 dysfunctional municipalities in this country at the moment. Not enough is being done. And from our side, we will be holding them accountable. We will be litigating in municipalities. We've identified a few municipalities in the country where litigation will be instituted. And from our side, again, I can only give the public the assurance that we are doing everything possible to ensure that their rights are being realized.
I suppose the difficulty, Dr. Boshoff, comes into the fact that so much of the corruption we experience in our country happens at local government level. Yeah. And this is the level where service delivery is meant to sort of be kick-started, right? That becomes incredibly difficult.
You are 100% correct. We are busy with a project which we are very excited about. We call it the Water Justice Tracker Project. And we've had engagements with all the municipalities in 7 provinces already. We will be consulting with the other 2 provinces in May. And what came out clearly during this empirical research process was the prevalence of your water mafias and your construction mafias in municipalities. We are busy drafting a position paper that we will be tabling before the Water and Sanitation Portfolio Committee in the National Assembly. And our view is that the sabotage of municipal infrastructure to benefit business people, to benefit outsiders, to the detriment of the community, falls within the definition of terrorism in the Terrorism Act. And this position paper, the purpose of this position paper basically is to advise Parliament and to advise government on how, corruption, specifically with regards to water mafias and construction mafias, should be dealt with.
Certainly. Dr. Boshoff, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. One thing is clear, on this Human Rights Day, 31 years into democracy, we still have an incredibly long way to go. That's the South African Human Rights Commission's Dr. Henk Boshoff.